Hi, good evening, everyone. India's mobility landscape is undergoing a once in a generation transformation. From rapid urbanization and rising vehicle density to the shift towards software defined, connected, and sustainable mobility, the country is moving faster than ever towards the future of transportation. India's roads, consumers, and tech ecosystem together create one of the most dynamic environments for innovation in automotive engineering, making this the perfect moment to reimagine what mobility can look like for a billion people. And to help us decode this shift, we are joined by Dr. Swarup Mandal, Vice President and Head of Automotive Engineering at Wipro. With decades of experience across automotive electronics, embedded systems, and mobility technologies, Dr. Mandal has been at the forefront of building engineering capabilities that shape the future of automotive industry. We are excited to have him with us today. Dr. Mandal, welcome to Nasscom's In Conversation series. Now, before we dive into, what transformation is happening in the industry and all, I would like to start with your personal journey. Tell us a little bit about how your journey has been in the field of technology, especially in the automotive domain, and who according to you is inspiring your vision.
So I started off my career as an engineer, and as I'm passed out in 80s, era of 80s, late 80s and early 90s. So engineering that time are more focused on manufacturing, and it is a design of cars, design of products, design of buildings. Those were the cutting edge topics which actually engineers were navigating to. So as a young engineer, I was always fascinated with the automotive because that was the aspirations everybody used to have that point in time. That's how I liked the automotive per se as a part of our curriculum. So we have studied a lot of automotive engineering related stuff. But as you know, that automotive engineering in 90s and now automotive engineering is completely different. And we have gone through the different metaphor of the technology, both in tech as well as hardcore engineering. And I spent a lot of time in that area. So my post my undergraduates, I started liking it, and then got a chance to work with Wipro and into automotive engineering, and then my career starts from there. And I evolved with automotive engineering space. That's how I am here. If you ask me that who actually aspires me in this particular area, there are a couple of dimensions to it. If we look at the technology dimensions, of course, this is a place which is a very complicated design. Why it is a complicated? Because it is a safety critical. Any other product does not have that safety criticality. Any technology you want to infuse in this particular product needs a lot of do's and don'ts. We call guardrails. We have to have a lot of guardrails for deploying technology. That attracts me. That how you can solve a constrained different problems of mobility in a constrained environment. That's one. Second, if we look at Wipro, when I walked into the Wipro, then I find that Wipro is very focused on engineering. And of course, automotive engineering is one of the area of which Wipro is working in it and gave us a lot of exposure, not only for the projects which we do internally, also for the projects which is coming for customers. So that's how I have grown over a period of time. Of late, the new generation OEMs and also the traditional OEMs are bringing up a lot of fascinating technology, bringing into the car and bringing in experience, which is a lifetime experience, I should say. And that is where we are working on the different technology visions.
Great. It's very heartening to know your journey and love that you've been through and through into automotive and the value that you are creating through Wipro. That's great. So thank you for sharing your perspective and a little bit about your journey so far. And I think from what you've said, that vision is clearly transforming into how Wipro is responding to what's happening in the industry right now. When you literally look at the automotive landscape today, especially India, there is so much, that's in motion: electrification, connectivity, automotive systems. So I want to know from you, what are the major trends that are shaping the future of automotive industry at large? What's happening in India, and how is Wipro positioning itself to address them?
So it is a complex question, I should say, that what are the new things happening in automotive industry. Let me categorize in two three dimensions. If I look at the area which actually disrupting this automotive industry, clearly three trends. One is electrifications of the vehicle. Then second one is autonomy. Autonomy, when I say that autonomy has got a degree of autonomy, so we call it level 1 to level 4. I am talking about level 3 autonomy, where actually uh, mostly you will have driverless operations. And then lastly is a software definedness of the vehicle. And software definedness of the vehicle is been enabled by the connectivity, because car is connected, and anybody who is using the car is in the connected world. When we are connected, we know that what we could do. So actually anywhere, anything we can do. We can do my work in the car, we can see movies in the car, we can do transactions in the car, we can do conference works in the car. So those are the few areas which is opened up. So that means now transportation from one point to other is no longer a transportation, it is an experience. When we talk about experience, that how we'll be creating the experience within the cabin, that is very important. So in a way, you have three clear trend which is coming up, but which is inherent, which is actually making a demographic demand. People, consumers actually demanding it more, is the user experience which is in the cabin. And that user experience comes from different profiling of the people. Let's say if I am going to office, I want to have office within the vehicle. If I am going to for a leisure trip, I want to have the drawing room within that vehicle. So these are the various dimensions which is making it more complex and more interesting and more trendy, I should say.
I know I love the way that you've explained it so simply as to what's really happening. So a follow up to that question is, so what specific steps has Wipro taken actually to stay ahead of these emerging trends?
So engineering is not only automotive. Engineering is always about engineering the product. When we talk about engineering the product, we are engineering the next generation product. So either this next generation could be 2 years down the line, it could be 10 years down the line. So depending on the horizon for which we are designing the product, we have got various tools, techniques, and technology we have to be equipped with. We as a company have, as an automotive engineering team, we have taken a vision that we will be working for our customers in the softwareization journey. When we talk about the softwareizations, the vehicle, when it is getting connected, there is a softwareization aspect. When it is getting connected, then I will have my environment, I will be deploying it at my own will, on my need. If you want to make a drawing room, then it would be the applications of the drawing room will be loaded into the car. If I'm in the office, then all the software which are required for operating in the office, so those softwares will be loaded. So that means our connectivity is enabling to configure it as per the need. So this is the softwareization we are talking about. Wipro is very focused on the softwareization journey of our customers. We build software for the current generation, for the next generation, and help to build the vehicle which is updatable at the wheel of the users. They can update or configure the vehicle, and those kind of softwareizations Wipro is focusing on. So that's what Wipro is constantly working on, that building the skill, building the accelerators for our customers.
Thank you so much for that. It really sounds like Wipro is building some serious capabilities across all the domains that you mentioned. But transformation is at this scale, especially, isn't something that any single player can actually achieve or drive alone. It does require a very vibrant ecosystem of OEMs, suppliers, startups, and enablers working together. So I want to know from you, where do you see the biggest ecosystem gaps today? And, how can initiatives like the Nasscom Mobility Innovation Challenge, where Wipro is also, one of the partner and is evaluating the use cases of startups, how can all these kind of specific initiatives help accelerate India's mobility innovation journey?
So this is a very good question. In fact, ecosystem play is the centerpiece of developing any product, whether it is the current generation of automotive or earlier automotives. Current generation of automotive requirement of ecosystems has gone multifold because, as I said, that various dimensions are there now in the automotive. So today, example, if I want to really get an user experience, I need or we need a player who is really smart and experienced in the user experience. If we want to really do a connectivity piece, we need a player who has got a good connectivity solutions. Like this, if you list down the sub areas, it is a huge amount of sub areas. So when we talk about that vehicle is transforming, then transforming in each domain dimension which I mentioned, for a single player, transforming it is a humongous work. It would be very time consuming and your effort intensive, which is not the reality today. So transformation is very fast today. So every player, whoever in the ecosystems, they have to be part of a defined ecosystem. And as we speak, that Wipro is building that ecosystem. In fact, for the SDV, we have got 64 partners today, and it is going to increase, not decrease. So building the ecosystems who are very niche and has got an in-depth understanding and depth of technology expertise is very much needed today. Hence, startup ecosystem is key of it. And because there are some advantages and disadvantages of the big entities, and some advantages and disadvantages of the startup. So startup is the key focus now for handling this transformation. When it gets to a stabilized one, maybe startups will also grow, and the particular area will be also much more stabilized.
So, could you now walk us through the strategic thinking behind Wipro's Autocortex framework for SDV transformation? And which components of Autocortex are already market ready for industry adoption?
So Autocortex is our offering to our customer. And as I already mentioned, our vision for our automotive engineering is to be a softwareization partner for the OEMs and tier ones who are primarily our customers. Having said that, there are two different types of customers we see. One is the new generation customer, where they are building the things afresh. So they are less challenged because they can adopt the recent technologies or latest technology and then can build the product. And there is a traditional OEMs who has to support the existing products which is in the market and then incrementally move to the new product. If we look at these two dimensions, we find that we need to really help with them transforming the current set of components to the new generation components. So AutoCortex is actually offering that capability. It has got four building blocks. One is modernizing, that means modernizing whatever they have. So we have got tools and capabilities and technologies, our process procedures, which will help them to modernize the current set. And another one is to build the next generation applications which could run on that modernized platforms. Third one is very important, is called data driven software, which is enabled because as we know that AI is everywhere. If you touch a car today, their features are AI. We call it embedded AI. That means today if you have keyless entry or all features you today see that they actually embedded in the AI. That AI component is embedded in the feature of the car. Also another dimension is that when you develop a software, so that time you need to deploy AI so that it actually brings in cost effectiveness, time of development and everything. So that's why we call it data driven software development. When I talk about data driven software development, then you have to build whole lot of data ecosystems which is required to build the function, test the functions and deploy it. So this data driven AI platform is one of the key component of it. So these are the three major components which we are offering to the customers for generating or managing the journey of our customer in the SDV space.
And are they already market ready for industry adoption?
It is market ready and it has got different building blocks depending on the maturity of the SDV which our customer is looking for. Some of the components and pick and chooses are possible. We have got a whole SDV development environments, but it has got a multifold, multi components, and our customers looking at their objectives, looking at the state of the product, we choose that what components to be given. It is entire bouquet is market ready for us today.
No, this is very interesting, and I feel that Autocortex clearly represents a very comprehensive approach to drive the, transformation that the automotive industry is looking at. Um, no, now as someone who's been at this industry for decades and is now helping shape its future, you've seen multiple technology cycles, right, and disruptions. So as we kind of wrap up this conversation, I'd love your perspective, for a broader ecosystem. What advice would you give to automakers and supply chain stakeholders to stay ahead during this generational shift towards autonomous and software defined vehicles?
So, primarily, it could be a very long prescriptions to them, but I'll call out a couple of them. First of all, the SDV transformation is need of the hour, driven by the consumer. Today, consumer are looking for some features and some functions, which is the basic need of it. And in parallel, there is a change of demography. That means if I look at the car ownership today, earlier people used to own a car. Now people trying to own the mobility. And when we talk about the mobility, that means it's not the moving from point A to point B. Rather, it will be looking for during that mobility what he is going to perform. He might be listening to songs, movie, as I mentioned earlier. So imperative is adopting the change. Now there is another dimension which is very important is the cost dimensions. I can bring in the change to the product, but it will not be cost effective. So striking a balance between cost effectiveness and the combination of the features in the car to excite the consumer is always a challenge. So that's why the ecosystem is important. So if as an organizations, if anyone wants to try to do everything, it will not be cost effective. More specialization of the functions is required today instead of having doing everything on our own. So that is one thing you have to when OEMs tier ones, even people like us who are in the engineering service provider space, so they need to adopt. That's the first thing I think it comes to our mind. Second is transformation is all pervasive, and any technology in the horizon can touch the product. One thing which is touching the product is AI, and adoption of AI not as a part of the product, but also how to build the product, use it to bring in the user experience in every phase of the life cycle of the vehicle is very important. Hence, adopting AI enablement services to address what customers are looking for is, I should say, it is absolutely mandatory. So, building the solutions and platforms like Wipro has, Win, we call it Win, and those kind of platforms are required today to really build to meet those challenges which OEM will be looking for. So, in my mind, the two things: one is build the ecosystem. Second, try to see how AI can play a role to really make some affordability, which otherwise in the price point was not. So, these are the two things I think the entire ecosystem players should.
Both very, very valid points. So, Dr. Mandal, thank you so much for sharing these insights with us today. It's clear that India's mobility transformation is as much about strategic choices as it is about technology. And Wipro's approach does reflect the nuance very beautifully. We appreciate your time and thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.